Welcome to the reButts, where everyday opinions are rebutted, and you, the listener, decide the winner.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Christian Thomas Lenzer, and tonight I'm joined by none other than Craig Kirchgessner.
Hello, it is good to be here for the first episode of The reButts.
So who are we? What are we doing? We're just two tennis coaches who love talking sports, and we often bring up arguments and different points that we like to make, and I think everyone in our office is tired of listening to them. So we decided to take our arguments and our ideas from the office building to the airwaves.
All right, obviously we are two tennis coaches, so it makes sense for us to have our first topic on the greatest tennis player of all time, or the GOAT of tennis.
Yes. So Craig, how about you get us started here? Actually, you know what? Let me take things away here. Oftentimes, people can consider the GOATs of tennis. It's either Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, or Roger Federer, of course. We're gonna keep this argument between those three players. Craig, how about you get started with some Fed
One
stats?
of the reasons we are keeping it with just these three players is because of their overwhelming stats that put them far above anyone else. I mean, you can look at their individual win totals, and by the time that Djokovic and Nadal retire, they will definitely be in the top three. They're about 300 and 400 behind Connors, who Fed is only
200 behind.
No, he's only 50 behind.
What?
Yeah, he'll pass him. He'll pass him by next year.
Okay.
Next 2 years probably.
So
my guess is Fed wants that number one spot with the most matches won. It goes Connor, Fed, Lindell, Nadal, and then Djokovic down there at 7. I think by the time these three are done, they'll definitely all three be in the top 5. And then this stat right here is why they cannot. No one else can be considered the GOAT. Since 2003. The big three, and what I mean by that is Fed, Djokovic, and Nadal, have won 54 of 65 majors.
That is domination.
That's domination. Can you name the other 11?
All right. I know I can name Cilic. Yes.
Yep. 2014.
Del Potro.
2009.
By the way, I watched that in the office, and I was destroyed whenever I saw that.
That hurt.
Let's see. Of course, Murray. Can't go wrong
He
with
won 3 of those.
who sometimes people consider him the fourth member of the Big Four. I don't see it, folks.
He had a good little run in there for a while, but definitely not considered a GOAT.
Gaudio, of course, you can't forget the 2004 French, which that is a good trivia question, folks.
Right before Nadal started his reign.
Exactly, 12. Jeez. Wawrinka, and after that, I honestly have no idea.
You got Stan getting 3. So Stan and Murray have 3 of those. You already mentioned Cilic. You mentioned Delpo. Andy Roddick was in between after Fed won his first. Roddick got that 2003. And my favorite player of all time, Murat Safin, taking the Australian Open in 2005. Also, fun fact, said he got drunk the night before the final because he was playing, I believe, my boy Raj, and that was in the semifinals. That was in the semifinals. Sorry,
Okay.
And beat him after getting drunk the night before because he thought he would lose.
Well, sounds about like your atypical Russian politician right there.
That's right.
So, anyways, yeah, let's just get into things. Let's break down some stats. Craig, I think you got the first one here for us.
Yeah. So Fed, just quick hitting stats right here. Number 1, obviously you look at Grand Slam titles, 20. That's leading the class right there with 20 Grand Slams. Second interesting stat, in those Grand Slam events that he's been in, 352 wins.
Jeez,
that's absurd.
That is more than majority of players will ever earn.
He has 85 wins at 3 of the events. 70 wins at all 4 events. Only person in tennis history to do that.
Yikes.
Number 3. He has been ranked number 1 for 310 weeks. Also a stat leader. Number 4, he holds 102 titles in singles. Also a stat leader right now. And then total wins, as we mentioned before, he has 1,222 as of, what is today, August 12th?
August 12th, yeah.
2019. So he's down by 40 right now to Connors. My guess is that's one of his goals, to take over that mantle.
Yeah, and the way he's playing, I think that's he's not hitting every event like he used to. You know, he's got to save that body. You know, at 38 now, you can't play every tournament like you used to be able to. Can't pull that team number. But yeah, so number 2 on our list, we got, of course, Novak Djokovic, the Serb, who I personally think is the GOAT. He's got 16 Grand Slams at the age of 32. That's 16 plus years on tour. You know, that's a pretty impressive feat. And only 2 other guys can say that they've got that? Nadal and Fed, really. Grand Slam wins sitting at 266. 253 weeks at number 1, and that is counting. He's the current ATP number 1 player in the world. 75 titles, which is a pretty good number at age 32. And also, he's got 871 wins, which breaks down to, I can't do that math in my head, per year.
It's good. We'll have a chart on there for all you visual tuner-inners. So, the last player on our big 3 GOAT argument that Christian and I both disagree with. We'll break down the numbers for you, and then we'll tell you why we disagree that he is thrown out of the mix. Rafael Nadal.
Love the guy to bits. Favorite player on tour. However, yes, his stats are impressive, but like Craig said, we'll break that down in a sec.
And people have arguments. This is why it's a debate. We're the rebuttals. I mean, the rebuts. We like to debate everything. So Rafa's stats right here: 18 Grand Slams. Yes, that's 2 behind Roger, 2 ahead of Joke. We'll see if he can catch him. He has 275 Grand Slam wins. That puts him in between the 2, barely. I do not see him catching Fed. He's down by almost 83. Or 80, whatever. Something around 80. He has 196 weeks at number 1. I don't see him getting anywhere close.
It's more than a year behind Djokovic at number 2.
Yeah, he's not catching either of these guys there, and he's injury prone. And then he has 84 titles. Very impressive. He's not catching Fed. And 960 total wins. He did just get his 84th title. I know we just said he's not catching him. He happened to win today.
Yeah.
So
There's only so many clay court events in the year, folks.
That's a good point.
Which kind of transitions into why we think that Nadal is not actually in this GOAT argument. If you look at his success rates, yes, he's got 18 Grand Slams, but 12 of those have been in the French. And yes, that is a massive feat, and I think that's a record that's not going to be touched by anyone. I mean, to have that such domination at that one tournament, what is he, 93-2 across his entire career? And that's including when he was, 18? When he first won it, something like that. Also, I mean, his body is so injury prone. Craig, you had an interesting find on that.
One of the reasons that we do not consider Rafa as the GOAT is the inconsistency throughout major tournament play. Even without tournaments that he did not play in, Rafa missed the quarterfinals.
In Grand Slams.
Yeah. He did not get to the quarterfinals or better in 12 events since winning his first major in 2005. In comparison, Roger Federer, who's been playing for 5 extra years and the tail end of his career has not been as impressive, has only missed 7 quarterfinals in that span. And Novak Djokovic
has the most impressive stat so far.
He has only missed 5. Okay, I understand that is impressive, that he's missed less. But Roger Federer has had a longer career, and he is beginning to tail off, and he is still only missing a few more than Djokovic. So
he's
in
maintaining
5 years,
that success, man. That's crazy.
In 5 years from now, if Djok only can still say he has 5 or 7 misses, that's going to be a tough argument.
I agree. So now that we've boiled things down from 3 to 2, let's get into the nitty gritty, Craig. So he's taken the place or the idea that Fed's a GOAT. Bad radio here, but he's wearing a Roger Federer shirt right now.
That's my boy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Here's why I think Fed's the best. I think that obviously he has the grace, the elegance, but the sheer numbers back him up. I mean, everything that we just told you, 20 Grand Slams, first place, 352 wins, first place, most weeks at 1, first place, 102 titles, first place, 1,222 wins, second place, soon to be first place, given that he doesn't get hurt within the next 2 years. He's also completed the Grand Slams and is versatile. Yes, so is Djokovic. Another reason Rafa's not in the count. He just doesn't win that many majors outside of the clay. Fed has a very nice spread, just like Djokovic. So these are definitely the top two. I'm not mad at that. I already told you some of the arguments of just how dominant he's been. But I think that one of my main arguments is that from 2003 to 2008, he lost a combined 8 matches
in Grand Slam. I was about to say 8 matches. Holy crap! No, in Grand Slams, that is a massive feat, no doubt.
I do think in 2006 he only lost 5 matches total.
Yeah, he was 92-5. I'm pretty sure that's one of his best seasons.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean Djokovic 82-6, pretty much as equally insane. But yeah, 92-5. That is an insane amount of wins.
For me, the numbers speak for themselves. Let's see how you can take those numbers and put them against me.
Yeah, so I'm on the side of Djokovic being the GOAT on court. If you look at career win-loss, Djokovic has a slight edge, 82% to 82.7% to 82.2%. That's a pretty dang good win-to-loss ratio. Head-to-head, Djokovic has the advantage, 26 to...
But
Oh, but...
I do have to say, I got to throw this in there. I understand Djokovic. What is that win ratio against Fed? 26 to 22?
26-22, yeah.
Okay, so there's 4.
Yeah.
They have mostly played in Djokovic's prime. I consider the prime pre-31.
Pre-31, okay.
All right, that's my prime.
No.
I'll give you another stat with age in a second here, but pre-31. That means for the last 6 years...
Yeah.
We've been watching 7 years. We've been watching Djokovic play Fed, not in Fed's prime. In those matches that go in the Grand Slams, which are best of 5, Djokovic has a distinct advantage in those. If you look at their head-to-head matchups out of best of smaller tournaments that are best of 3 sets, they're pretty much even throughout this 7 years.
16 and
they're pretty much even. I did a little research on that. They're pretty much even in Grand Slam events. That yes, the younger player will have the advantage. That is where I feel like Djokovic increases in his value because of his youth.
They were dead even in non-Grand Slam matches at 16 and 16. I think Djokovic, of course, takes the advantage in Grand Slams 10-6, and also on Federer's best service at Wimbledon in a best of 5. Djokovic leads 3-1. That last one, this past year, really kind of helped his argument. It helped the Djokovic argument, hurt the Federer argument.
Here's one of the things on that. On that point right there, we're talking about Djokovic being the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Yes, you can say, well, Fed needed to be clutch. Twice, though. In the 2000, what was that? 2015... maybe was U.S. Open, where Fed had 40-15 on Djok, and he didn't get the job done. I know it just happened again. 40-15 match points.
Things you hate to see that.
If those points go a different way,
if he wins one of 2 chances,
one more point. Oh yeah, even just one of those.
Yeah.
He wins one of those points. Now it's 21-15. I think the argument's a lot different than 2016 right now.
Yeah, 6 is way bigger than 4.
It's a razor's thin edge on you even being in the conversation that Joe could be the best.
I agree. But basically I see that 3-1 at Wimbledon. That's a huge deal for me. Djokovic has been able to dominate not just the big 3, right? Djokovic only has a losing record to 10 players on tour, and that can be anything from 1 match played to 40 matches played. He's got a winning record over both Federer and Nadal, while Federer has 24 losing records to any given player.
Djokovic actually only has 1 losing record to any player that he's played 3 times,
and that is
Andy Roddick.
Yeah, that
5
American.
for Roddick, 4 for Djok.
The last great American.
You know who my boy Murat Safin is against him though?
What?
2-0.
2-0, that's right.
You know who my boy Kyrgios is?
2-0. Yeah.
You know who Kyrgios thinks is the greatest? Not Djokovic.
It's Roger Federer. Yes. So yeah, I just see all these stats, and it's hard to argue. When you see somebody who's got the most Grand Slams and all these records. But I think if Djokovic can stay healthy over the next, let's say, 6 years, if he can get to Federer's age and still have relative success, what he's doing now, I really do think he's going to be able to pass some of these records that Fed has. 4 Grand Slams in 6 years. Djokovic is averaging 1 Grand Slam a year through 16 years, and that's not factoring in the years that he didn't win when he was like a young gun on the tour. So I really think it can happen. He's already got more Master titles than Federer at 33. Fed's got 28. Just about as the same number of tour titles. But yeah, we'll see.
I think if the premise holds in your camp where you say Djokovic gets 5 more quality years.
Yeah.
And let's say that Fed doesn't even win another title. I think he's got about 2 good years left. We see what happens. I still think he's too old to win multiple majors in a year. I think maybe he gets hot like he did a couple of years ago in 18, sneak another one in there. So I do think he's capable. Do I think Fed will win another one? Probably not. But let's give Djokovic the benefit of the doubt and say he does. He would be going against history. Right now, as of today, there are 13 players that have... there are 3 players.
30,
sorry. Correction. There are 13 players to win majors after the age of 30.
Yeah.
Okay? Only 3 players have won a major after the age of 33.
So that you think that's about the cutoff?
I think 33 must be the cutoff if there's only 3 players. You have Ken Rosewall.
The legend.
He was in the 70s.
Don't overlook that.
We don't know much about him because he's in the 70s. You got Andreas Jimeno. He's in 72. Like we don't know anything about that. Let's be honest. Okay, but then you have the GOAT, in my opinion, Roger Federer, who snuck out the Australian in 2017, Wimbledon in 2017, and the Aussie Open in 2018.
Yes,
those are impressive. Keep that in mind, though, that Djokovic turns 33 next year, which will give him 2 more times to win before that marker.
US Open and Australian?
So let's just give him both of them.
Yeah.
He's at 18. So he has to do what only one player has ever done before and win 3 titles after the age of 33 to surpass Roger.
I do have a counterpoint to this, So we saw it happen in the 70s. We saw it happen now. 30 years, we'll say 40 years span those two, that massive gap. And now all of a sudden we've seen players when the age where they die out would be 32, 33. We've seen that jump with Federer, with some of these older guys on tour. There's never been as many 35-year-olds, 34-year-olds on tour with such success. Look at Feliciano Lopez or even Nadal. He's getting up there.
Yeah.
Federer, of course. The diet's changing. The amount of matches is changing. Players are saving it for the big events. I mean, Federer he doesn't even play in every Grand Slam now, or he hadn't been. So it's things are changing on the tour in terms of age, but I still think you're right. Where 33 is kind of it's a
historical cutoff.
And it's a telling year because some guys will hit the wall, some guys will break through it. It just really depends on what Djokovic can do. And yes, he is extremely fit, and he's very, very. He really pays attention when he puts into his body. I don't know. We'll see what happens after 33, after this Australian Open coming up, and I think that's really going to set the tone for if he can actually catch Fed.
If Novak did not fire his coaching staff in 2017, the end of 2016 all the way to the middle of 2018, if he didn't fire his coaching staff and go to this supposed mental guru that encouraged long hugs.
So some guy sitting in a hut in the middle of some mountain in Serbia.
Yeah. If he wouldn't have done that, he missed out on 8 straight championships.
That's a huge dry spell. If you look across the board, that hadn't happened before.
Right.
Since he won his first, after his first, yes. But from then on, in his prime, if you will,
he's never had that dry spell. That was
4 or 5.
I think that might be a factor in his overall opinion of goatness when these guys are done in 5 years.
Yeah. So it's and I will say it's not helping my argument right now, but I'm arguing the idea of on court. You know, he's having the record and having the most, I guess, success as a player. But when we're talking GOAT, I think it kind of surpasses just what they've done on court. You know, I really think that Federer has surpassed he's not just a player. You know, people love him for his humility and how humble he is. And
philanthropy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more that goes beyond it. And I really think that it's in Djokovic's head. Federer's got free rent space up there. He's trying to be like him. He's trying to make the crowd love him and be a fun guy. And yes, he can be funny and in a great sport or advocate for the sport. But I think that Federer has naturally been gifted that ability, while Djokovic, it's somewhat artificial, you know. And Kyrgios commented on that a couple months ago when he called him out.
Oh, he called him out hard.
Talking about his cringeworthy antics and whatnot. And, I mean, I can't argue that necessarily. I think Djokovic, like I said, is going to go down as, if not like a top 3 player of all time, if not the best.
And that's the thing, too. Is Tiger Woods the GOAT, even though he doesn't have more than Jack? Probably because of his dominance in a very competitive era, and he's got the swag. Mm-hmm. Is Michael Jordan, does he have the most rings? No. Bill Russell does. Does he have better stats than LeBron? That's arguable. I mean, LeBron's going to pass him in most major categories, but everyone's going to call Michael the GOAT because of that aura, and that's one thing I just don't think Fed's going to lose.
Yeah, no, he's going to have that, and he's going to hold that. I remember hearing that conversation brought up multiple times after this past Wimbledon when Djokovic got the best of him. But, you know, that's something to keep in mind as we go forward. That's, I don't know. It's kind of similar with Rodgers and Brady in football. Rodgers may end up having better stats. Well, actually, no.
Well, not championships. But,
championships, yes. But Brady's seen as the more natural kind of leader in terms of the GOAT category. Yeah. But, yeah.
Well, guys, what we're trying to do here is throw out a topic where we throw out the facts, you lay down winners and losers. So if you guys can please throw in a like, that would help us a lot. You throw in a comment, let us know who you thought won the debate. You can either put myself or Christian, you can say Fed joke, you can do anything you want in the comment section. We're going to tally up what we think those comments mean, and then in the next episode, we'll let you guys know who came out on top.
Exactly. And also a little bonus question for you guys. How absurd do you think Dak Prescott is asking for $40 million a year? But that is another conversation for another day. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in for the first episode of the reButts. Stay tuned. 2 to 3 times a week we'll drop new pods. And hope to hear from you guys in the comment section below. So take it easy and we'll see you soon.
Peace.